Hey everybody, P.A. Turner, executive producer and host of your Break It Down show. Here comes Peter Matsoukas, who is a director. Look, I love guys that make indie films because they're doing it to build a career and put things together, but they're passionate about it. And they're putting, this is their baby, and they get their hands all over these things. They have too many hats on their heads, and they're still getting it done and doing something that's impossible. Every movie's a miracle, and Peter makes fantastic movies. I know you're going to love what he does. Peter Matsoukas. Hey, Ride for the Brave. It's Save the Braves annual charity thing that we do. There's a chance to support us as we are on the road right now going to Miami, and Scott is on the motorcycle, and you're probably listening in your favorite place to listen. Hopefully you're listening on YouTube. That's the best place for right now. But think about this. We're out there on the road. We can use your help. Go to Save the Brave, savethebrave.org. Follow, share all posts from Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is. These are the things that help. We always can use help. And if you're into that, great. And if you're not into veterans, you know what I'm going to say now? I'm going to say get involved. Find a charity that you support and you dig what they do and you want to be part of it, and just come in and say, what can I do to help? It can be the simplest thing. It can be simply driving to the airport to pick up somebody that's coming into town. It could be putting mail in the post office, whatever it is. Find some charity, get to work, and start supporting folks. That's what we do around here. Hey, if you want to support the Break It Down show, go to breakitdownshow.com, go to the PayPal link, put a little bit of money in each month. That is a fantastic way to support it. And you know me, I'm going to go around, put that money right back into the business. We're either going to buy an ad, buy equipment, buy some gas, get me on the road. We're going to be doing things. And the more I can gather the audience to kick in $1 or $2 or 10 or 20 or 100 each, man, the more I can go out and do incredible things and bring you these incredible tales. There's some really, really neat stuff coming up. I know you guys will dig it. I'm going to be on the road going at least as far east as Baton Rouge and maybe even all the way up to Kentucky to see Will Riley. We will see how that goes, but that'll happen in August. This is in part because you all are putting me on the road, giving me the means to do it. Look, there's a lot of us. It doesn't take a whole lot of money to put me on the road. I don't stay in extravagant places. I swear to God, I literally will sleep in my truck if I have to. It doesn't do good for the back. It does not good restful. But if that is what it takes, know that I will do that. I will drive to the end of the earth to grab great shows if you just help me out with a little bit of cash so I can get on the road. All right. So go to breakitdownshow.com, PayPal link, and do that. All right. One last thing to say to you, and that's here comes Peter Matsoukas.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
This is Peter Matsoukas, and you're watching The Break It Down Show.
And now, The Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Hi there, I'm Benjamin Madrid, actor, most recently in the film No Place, now streaming on Amazon. Welcome to The Break It Down Show. I know what you're thinking. Why would he wear that hat? Listen, this is my father's hat, and he wore it during the Korean conflict. Not during the war or whatever, just like a conflict he had with like his neighbor. I don't want to talk about it. It doesn't matter. Today is a great Break It Down show with Pete Turner, of course, as always. I want to say something here for a second. Can we get serious? The Break It Down show is just about to hit 1,000 episodes. And I heard that Pete is going to do that episode completely naked from the bubble. I don't know if that's true, but my mother was saying that she hopes that it's weird. I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, congratulations to him. I want to introduce today very special guest, hero of mine, good pal. He's the director of No Place. I've spent so much time with him. I can tell you so many things, and I know he's going to say great things about me because I gave him $62 or $63. Just doesn't matter. Peter Matsoukas is going to be on the show today. He's going to be great. He's going to say all kinds of amazing things. Before I go, I want to say make sure to check out the charity Save the Brave. It's at savethebrave.org, right? You can go to donate right below here in the tab. Donate if you're so inclined. Listen, I'm pumped to be here on Peter's behalf. I'm pumped to be doing this for my pops and for his neighbor. They're really working on some stuff, but I know they're going to work it out. It's going to be great. Hey, listen, it's about love, right? It's about people doing shit and getting together We're going to break it down. You got Pete Turner today and Pete Matsoukas. That's two Peters on the same show. It's pretty progressive. You know what I mean? It's 2021, y'all. See you soon.
How you like that intro?
Wow. I don't know how I can follow that. You said $62. It was more like $6.20, but I'll try my best.
Well, let's bring the $6.20 man in here just for a moment. Have him surprise guest join us. What? Benjamin Madrid here on the Break It Down Show.
Oh, man.
Hi, Peter. Peters.
Yes. There's also Pete Koch is a friend of mine. He's a former Kansas City Chief and a badass. He was the Swede in Heartbreak Ridge, and he often comes on. And so hashtag the Pete with a new Pete. Hey, Benjamin, I don't want to keep you too long because I know this is about Peter, but I thought I would give you a chance to express your love and admiration for Peter in a way that he doesn't commonly get to hear. Because I know you guys are buddies. I know you guys did this great movie, No Place, together. And it's not often we get to really shine the love light on someone that we truly care about. So I'm going to shut up and let you shine that love light right on his face.
Wow. I feel like the audience is thinking, like, is he going to sing something? Did I bring a ukulele? I should have. Peter and I had worked together on this. Yes, in the key of C. Peter and I, I'm trying to remember how we met from the very, very, very beginning. I don't remember. Was it a Christmas party as an agent? I don't remember how we got connected in the first place. Probably through mutual people. And then we did a project, a little short film. Oddly, we had to sing, and then we kept running into each other at the coffee shop. What would you just say hello? Is that what the deal was, Peter? You were always like in and out on your way to work, and you were like, "Hey, top of the morning," or something.
Yeah. We worked together on Mr. Not Too Bad, and then I saw you at the coffee shop, and at first I'm like, "Wait a minute, I think I know that guy." Yeah. And I'm like, wait, I definitely know that guy. But I don't know if he remembers me. And then we just started talking. I'm like, well, maybe we're supposed to be seeing each other. We're around the same age. We've got the same taste in coffee.
Right.
Why not strike up a conversation and see who this guy is? And because I only knew you from, a day or so on Mr. Not Too Bad. So
yeah. And similar hair, really.
Yeah. Graying gracefully,
That's right.
More graceful than
That's right.
So yeah, man, that's how we kind of the genesis of our collaboration.
Yeah, it just was a friendship, I think, before it became a film. Like I feel like we sat down and talked about a lot of stuff, and then Peter talked about where he was in his career, and I talked about where I was, and that seemed like it worked out. That's kind of amazing, really, to think about it, because who knows what people are going on in their life to have the availability and also, like, I have no friends, Peter. So the fact that, like, I made a friend in a coffee shop, big deal. And that we also made a movie, you're still my only pal.
Yeah, it's icing on the cake. I have no friends either. I have a few of them, and they're all in the movie. So, I mean, that's about it. I mean, I figured if you want to, that's one of the way I collect friends is I offer them small parts in movies.
Right.
And if they say yes, then then I maybe, give them some beer or, I have to pay them off to be my friend. You and I just had a mutual feeling of,
right.
I don't know, just reciprocity there.
Yeah, for sure. It's an expensive way to make friends.
It is.
Was this in Indy or was this in LA?
In Indy.
Wow, you guys courted in Indy. Yeah, that's an unexpected movie relationship, right? That's not how movies normally start. You got to be in New York or LA or something.
This is true. Well, this is the thing. You have to gravitate toward people who have similar interests, and sometimes they're few and far between, in places that aren't New York and LA or Chicago. So, once you find somebody, you're like, wow, maybe you and I should work together on something.
Right.
That might be smart.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I've had enough of Benjamin. I'm kicking you out of the studio. Thanks for checking in, man. That intro was awesome, and I just thought it would be fun to have you pop in and help us get started. So thank you so much, Mr. Nowhere.
You bet. Good luck, guys. Love you, Pete.
Cheers, brother.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So anyhow, I hope you appreciate that. Just try to spice things up for you, for the audience, everything else. And I guess I should also say, as we struggle to get this show started, please, 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 if you're watching, watch on YouTube, subscribe, hit that reminder bell. That's a big thing to help the show grow. That helps YouTube know that you all want to see the content. And that's a powerful thing. Plus, they also pay me a little bit of money when you guys watch. And then when you watch things, use our Amazon links because like if you watch Peter's movie, that's a good opportunity to, one, put a couple of dollars in Amazon's pockets, of course, because they're first in line, but also Peter and me. And I get like a nickel or something. So let's not get crazy about it. But those nickels add up, and that is a great way to support the show. So go to YouTube, just type Pete A. Turner. You'll see it. Subscribe and hit the reminder bell. Enough of me yakking and selling my stuff. Let's talk to Peter Matsoukas, who's the director, a writer, a producer. I'll do anything you need for a movie because it's your passion, man. And you've been at this for quite a while. With that young kid who's learning via Zoom right now in class and is like, I just want to get out of high school and I want to go get to work and work in the movies. Maybe his name's Peter. What would you say to that kid about like what this life is like?
Well, I'd say that there's no clear-cut path to making it in the movies or making it as a film director. And if there were, everybody could do it. I took many paths. I failed in many different directions, but pivoted to other directions. I didn't go to undergrad wanting to be a filmmaker. I didn't really know what I wanted to be, but I was able to attend a university that allowed me the opportunity to make films and to study film. And when I left college, I had the bug to want to be a filmmaker, but that seemed like a really impractical goal because I didn't know any filmmakers. That was something that was totally foreign to me, even though I'm from New York, and I've always loved films. So what I did was I started working on movies. Some real low budget films, some schlock horror cinema, a lot of low budget indies in New York as a grip, as a PA. And I really learned a lot. I learned a lot about how to make movies, how not to make movies, the kind of movies that I wanted to make, the movies that I didn't want to make, and grew up a little bit. It was kind of trial by fire. Like you really need to work on a film set to really understand the energy of that. So going that route is a good route to work in production and learn. But just because you are a PA, that doesn't mean you're going to ascend to direct films. You could be a PA and then become a producer. But in order to write and direct, you really need to write and direct. I mean, that's it. So then I just started making films. And again, these are some low budget features that very few people have seen. They live on the nether regions of YouTube and the internet. But then I decided to go to film school. And I was 30 something in film school with some 20 somethings, but I was serious. I was motivated. And I started making films and I started connecting with filmmakers, many of which I still connect with today, who read my scripts. I produce their projects. They produce mine. That's really one of the reasons to go to film school. And that was in Chicago. So I think there are many paths, but you have to go to a place where they're making lots of films, New York, Chicago, and LA. You need to work on productions. And when I say films, any show, any production, it could be TV, but you need to know the inner workings of that. And then grow the confidence to create your own work by making your own projects. That's what I'd say. But I've been doing this a long time, and this thing is out there and got some really nice distribution, and hopefully it leads to the next one, but it might not. So I just have to keep trucking, keep plugging away. So,
yeah, I mean, you get picked up by Indican this time. I mean, that's a mark. They buy your kind of movies, and that means that you can come back in, and you're not just a guy with this first meeting. You've got a movie. You've done something that they found valuable. Is indie filmmaking the ultimate goal for you? Like if you were able to make a comfortable living, is that what you want? Or do you want to take a whack at some of these Marvel and DC films and get a multi-$100 million budget to work with?
I would never want to make a film like that. I love those big budget movies. Their entertainment, their massive armies of incredibly talented collaborators, technicians, visionaries. Not my thing. I like smaller films. I'm kind of a child of the 80s and 90s of American cinema. The Miramax time. I grew up on the Tarantinos and the Danny Boyles and the Todd Haynes and the Todd Solances, and I like unique, independent films, and those are the films that I want to make because they say something about the artist who makes them. And even working in a genre like noir, like No Place, I still am saying something about me, what I think about the world, about my perspective on things. So I was actually thinking about this today. It surprises me that a lot of filmmakers who do make those huge films don't then make smaller projects. I know Steven Soderbergh is the guy who comes to mind who can churn out the Oceans trilogy, and then he can make these little independent films, maybe 5-10 million for him, but at least they're personal to him. All filmmakers are those young filmmakers from college who, they're all that person at heart who are trying to express themselves in some way. So I'm just surprised that where filmmakers don't, get money to make smaller projects. But perhaps when you're bathing in $100 bills, that's not a concern of yours. And hey, I wouldn't mind that either. The water's hard in indie sometimes. So, but it's not really my cup of tea.
Yeah, I can understand that. And is it fair to look at you as more of a storyteller and those big budget movies? Look, everybody's got to make sacrifices, right? Like if you make a Ghostbusters, you have to do the callbacks to Harold Ramis and all these things. It is not an insignificant chunk of time that you've got to deal with, oh my gosh, making this Star Trek movie. I better make sure Spock does the Spock shock. Otherwise the audience. And so it's like play the hits, right? And so I'm not saying that they're not storytellers, but they've got to get the action figure shot. Make sure you show Baby Yoda. You got to have it on screen for 25 seconds. And you lose a lot of control of your movie because you're bound to these obligations because there is so much demand for. I had never really thought of this, but it really is. You have to play the hits when you have these big budget movies. So does that make them? What kind of a storyteller is that compared to the kind where you are and you're making totally different sacrifices? And not to attack your movie or any other indie movie, I love them, but often shot to shot, you're seeing different quality of shots and there's not a lot of continuity because you simply can't afford it. Like you can't afford to go back and get that shot. You don't have time to wait for a lot. All of these things. How would you characterize or compare and contrast the different versions of storytelling?
It's a great question. I think that the major films that have massive fan bases and they have IP that's cherished, like the Star Warses and the Marvels, there's a ton of fan service that has to be done. And in a way, it's an incredible achievement when Kevin Feige and the Marvel folks can churn out all those films and seemingly satisfy everyone. You can't satisfy everybody, but most people. And I'm not a Marvel person. But I've watched all the films with my kids and my wife, and we absolutely love them all. Star Wars, on the other hand, I also love Star Wars, and I think they're trying to bring in auteurs. They brought in Rian Johnson. They try to bring in Lord and Miller. They try to bring in people who can make these films, but they want it both ways. They want someone who can be a storyteller with an independent voice, who's spinning their franchise. But they also want to do all the fan service. They also want to please all the committees, all the focus groups. So, I'm just dismayed with the recent Star Wars movies because they're just so. They've had so much time to plan this out, and it just seems like they're just shooting stuff and then reshooting and rewriting on the fly. This is Star Wars. This is sacred stuff to people. And J.J. Abrams, is the person who seemingly blends all the fan service and makes it palatable with some fanboy appreciation. And I love J.J. Abrams. I love all this TV stuff. I love Alias is one of the things that bonded my wife to me on our first date. But he's become kind of a safe play, right? So
Can I be honest? I can't stand. If I know that J.J. Abrams is involved in a project, I won't watch it. I might still watch it, but he has hit the point of no for me.
right.
You know, like certain people make a movie. If Matthew McConaughey makes a movie, I'm just going to watch it because I dig what he does. And there's two main reasons why with J.J. Abrams. One is in Alias, towards the end when they were clearly running out of ideas, and they had that Grimaldi device, and it was a giant water balloon, right? Remember that thing?
Yeah, of course.
And so this is for the audience. There's a giant water balloon. It's in like a hangar-sized building. It is a big water balloon, and it's levitating. And then it breaks. And then the water goes flooding out. And then there's the heroine and her love interest, and they're running down the hallway. And she gets there, the door shuts, and then here comes the water. And there's the boyfriend. And it's going to be too late. He's going to drown. And I'm like, but it's a water balloon. And it's a giant building. And so there's a mess to clean up. But unless you fall down and are unconscious, you're not going to drown. Like, there's no way it's going to be 8 feet of water in the hallway. Yeah, it's just. So I'm like, what are you doing? Like, give me a reason to believe. Does the water suddenly magnify? Tell me something. Where's the narrator to teach me? And the other thing is when the stupid Enterprise was parked in the ocean. Like, it's the Enterprise. They beam things down. We've established this for 60 years. You know, like, why is it? It's the first time it's ever been in the ocean, and now all of a sudden it's discoverable and they can break the. It's like, come on, dude. And so those things, they're leaps too far. And then I have to be honest about some of the Star Wars stuff. Some of the pandering to ideology is a little bit hard to swallow with those movies. I don't go to movies for that. I mean, Luke was a miracle story, but he was temporarily at least guided and realized by Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? It's like now anybody can have the Force. Like, well, that's not what you told me early on, you know?
Right.
Like, and so you have to give me like, oh, this person is steeped in it. Lo and behold, they're no longer just a guard or a tech. They're now this superhero. Anyhow, that's
Right.
my.
No, hey, if you want to talk 45 minutes on Rambaldi alone, we can do that. But no, I agree. I mean, that was one of the biggest failures of the Star Wars 7 through 9 is, the whole 8th movie with Rian Johnson, who they gave the keys to the kingdom. It wasn't about your parentage. It wasn't about your heritage. Anybody can have the Force. Maybe Rey was just, but then it turns out, well, she's, Palpatine's granddaughter. No, we just threw out the 8th movie. Spoiler alert, I guess. But
And then when Princess Leia dies, or General Leia, or whatever she is, let her be dead. Why did you resurrect an actual dead lady?
Right, right. Yeah, but JJ, if my wife were on the podcast, she'd talk about Felicity, which is one of her favorite shows. And that's a show that had no money, that just was pure invention. And what separated it was, incredible cast. And it was just like a really true show. It tapped into something real. And but then, it expanded to Alias and then Law, whatever. But where he is now, maybe, and again, he is a phenom. He's J.J. Abrams. He's a long ways from regarding Henry, but somewhere along the way, it becomes, I think you probably morph from, a pure storyteller who's trying to tell a simple story well, and you have budgetary limitations and you have people who are there just for the love of the project, to, armies of people who are extremely talented and gifted, but, it's just, you're part of a machine. And it's just, and movies are like that anyway. I mean, the movie industry is just so much different now than it was 20, 30 years ago. So what can you say?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. The budget becomes how many things can we jam in here at the expense of quality, where you're trying to pursue quality at every turn. And there's compromises all the time, but it's just a different approach. You guys are lean and trying to focus on how do we make a great movie, and they're focused on how do we maximize the profitability of this movie, because they have to. That's the business, You have to make money 15 different ways in a giant motion picture like that. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and if you fail, then you've got huge corporations that could come crashing down. I mean, if this film fails, it was a bad venture for those who invested. But who knows what it could lead to. It's just interesting thinking of like the cost structure of a film like No Place, where most of the money was spent on the crew, like getting crew people to like these technicians to shoot and light and keep our actors and actresses in makeup and whatnot. While we barely paid our actors, we barely paid for locations. Which is, in Hollywood movies, the crew is making a very nice salary, but, they're throwing $20 million at it. And if it's an A-list actor who can carry a movie and is an amazing movie star and actor, I would give him the money or her the money. But it's hard to, when costs balloon and it's all about, green screening and, explosions and, all that crap, it becomes mindless. But what, in a film like Endgame or Infinity War, the Marvel universe, you're totally immersed in this incredible world, and that's money well spent. So,
yeah. As an indie director, if someone comes on board, let's say that Matthew McConaughey's like, yeah, I'd love to do your indie movie. I love your script. I mean, that guy's tens of millions of dollars to get him to come on board, and probably a taste of the back end and a producer credit. I mean, it's a challenge to get him to come on. Is he worth the squeeze at anywhere near a reasonable rate for him, or how do you negotiate with someone like that? Because his normal ask is more than the entire budget of the movie. It's like it has to be something left there, and they get that. Those guys understand they're doing it for the artistic pursuit. But how do you pitch that guy, and how do you nail the landing on? I don't want to overpay. Matter of fact, I want to underpay so I can pay the other people, because you're right. Otherwise, we're all doing each other's makeup, and that's not pro.
Right. Well, I think that I think if you can get an actor like that, you get them, or an actress like that, because if you invest in an actor or actress like that, so many more people will come to the table with the money that you're going to need for distribution. You might sell a movie's foreign distribution on an actor or an actress. So I think it's something you have to go for. But yeah, you're going to have to give that person points, and then that person's going to step into your production and have a great deal of power and say, and the director has to maintain his or her vision and work. And hopefully, like I had a great relationship with Benjamin Madrid. It's like you need to be on the same wavelength. Otherwise, if the lead who's carrying the movie and the director aren't totally aligned, then you're going to get something that's disjointed and is not going to be a creative success. Yeah. So I think you have to roll with it. I mean, if I could work with an actor like that, I would be all in. So, but it's yeah. I mean, I've worked on some bigger productions, not as a director, but as I had a nice little career shooting behind the scenes, and I was working with, I'd say like a couple $1 million productions, and they had some, I wouldn't say A-list talent, but like very Oscar-nominated actors. And, that was kind of the balance there, trying to, and it was difficult to massage at times. And sometimes, I've seen directors who really wanted someone who might be from another country, who might not be totally popular in the States, but not quite get their way because there was a name in the States who could bolster distribution. So you have to make concessions. It's just about getting the film made. It's a tough process.
Yeah. It's one of the things that always is too, is money. You can have your go-to investors, but you still have to deliver to those guys too. How does that relationship work though? I mean, when you find people like, yes, I'll cut you a check for $10,000, which is a significant hunk of money, but it's not all you're going to need. You might need 10 times that, 20 times that, to make, maybe even more than that, to make your movie. How do you manage that? Because it can turn into a whole bunch of cats. Like, I would love guys that just cut a check and don't care, and they're like, go make the movie and let me know what my take is at the end, but those guys are few and far between. A lot of them want to be involved. It's almost like fantasy camp in a lot of ways. And I'm not trying to be unfair to people who invest in movies, but you have to deal with that as the producer.
Yeah. It's a fine line. Honestly, we didn't have that issue with No Place because much of it was self-financed, and there were some other people who invested who didn't have that. They luckily didn't have that relationship with. But otherwise, yeah, you have to. I think you have to set realistic expectations. You know, if you believe in this project and you have the means to donate 10 grand, then we would absolutely love your money, and we will put it to great use and create this beautiful work of art that you will cherish, and you will be a producer, and that's important and that's significant. But will this film make a ton of money? I don't know. Will you see double your investment? I don't know. I'm not going to promise you that you will, unless you have the distribution already baked in, where you know that's going to happen. But unless you have the star, unless you have unless you have a director who's well known, like a built-in audience, it's hard to guarantee that. And it's all about setting realistic expectations, I'd say.
When I'm talking to my friends, like, oh, I interviewed an actor, I always have to qualify this because actor means a lot of things. Or I interviewed a director, it means a lot of things. A musician, it means a lot of things. You have to qualify it. What is to you? What is a star? What's someone you're like, this person's a star, not worried about it? Because it's not just Matthew McConaughey. There's 1,000 people, maybe 500 that are like, that's a star.
Yeah. You mean a star as in that person is recognized as a star? As
that
opposed
person,
to
I can say to producers, and I can say this person's a star, and they will give me more money because, like a bankable star for you.
Yeah, well, I think, where I'm at in my career, I think that if I was able to work with someone who was a regular on a television show or in some independent films or major films that people have seen and know, and maybe that person's like, oh, that's that guy or that girl. I don't really know her name, but I liked her and so. That person, I think that person could, be considered a star, or at least a name actor or actress. But yeah, I mean, we've like, for instance, Forbes Shepherd, who was in our film, she was just in a Joe Berlinger film, the Ted Bundy, Extremely Wicked and Shockingly Vile, I believe it's called. And, she played Zac Efron's mother. She was, it's a great part. People might recognize her, but I don't know. She's not Zac Efron, but the fact that she was in a film with Zac Efron and shared scenes with Zac Efron, who is a legit star, is great. And I think that bodes well for our film and for her, and hopefully, with her career, she can keep building and building. And yeah, I mean, there are some people around indie. I don't really have a great feel for indie. I mean, I live here, but a lot of people are like work in Cincinnati, which is a pretty decent production hub. People obviously work in Chicago. I came up with a lot of actors in Chicago who, do tons of stuff, are on tons of TV because they shoot a lot of TV there. And yeah, those credits for those actors are great. I mean, but once you get to a star level, I think you kind of know if that person has a following. And I don't know the metrics. I don't know how many social media likes or follows or whatever, but at some way, like somewhere along the way, some distributors can be like, oh, that person's in the film. Well, we're going to give you money to distribute, and you can, this is money you can have in your production, and that's huge.
Sorry, I got a plane going overhead here. I live in the flight path for John Wayne. Okay, so when I think of this, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but I think of people that are right there on the cusp between like out and out pro, like, you hire them because they will get the job done, and people know their names. I think about like the difference between someone like Alexis Bledel or Toni Collette as another one, or Allison Janney, right? These aren't people that you're like, man, maybe Allison Janney is bankable, and that's why I gave her last, right? But if you say I've got Alexis Bledel, and they're like, oh, good, yeah, she's good. But it doesn't go, oh, sign me up, right? Like there's the door there. And I have no problem with that. I don't have all these people are actors and they are very well established and they are great storytellers. But I'm trying to establish like what that line might be for an actor. I mean, obviously Zac Efron, easy star. It's like Hall of Famers in baseball. Yeah. Pudge Rodriguez, star, not a problem. You know, he goes in, he's an instant Hall of Famer. But Will Clark, you know what? Probably not. You know,
hell of a swing. You're right. Not quite there.
Hell of a swing. Yes. So when you think about that as a director, does that even matter to you?
I'm with you. No, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, obviously, I just want the film to be seen, and an Alexis Bledel would be great. I mean, she's been in major movies, like and also this person is a pro. I mean, she was on Gilmore Girls. She was in Robert Rodriguez movie, Mad Men. So, right, we are okay. We good, Pete? Sorry.
Yeah. Your connection's a little bit bouncy. I'm trying to see if we can weather the storm here, but keep going. So,
I'm sorry.
Alexis Bledell's pro. She's been in pro things.
Yeah,
we know who she is.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, but what's funny is, I have a 9-year-old and he watches stuff that's on like Disney, like act like movies like The Descendants is a movie I never thought I'd actually watch, but he's watched them, and like now I know all these young stars, which is what Zac Efron was back in the day. I mean, I didn't know who Zac Efron really was when I was 10 years ago, but he's made good career choices, and now he's ascended to a place where he is a bankable star. I don't even know if he's an A-list star, but I mean, he can carry a movie. And it's funny, I wrote a script once, and I like a long time ago, and I'm like, this would be great for Zac Efron because he's squeaky clean, and this is a movie that can like tear down that facade and like show his make him shed his Disney audience. But I think maybe Ted Bundy was the film that he did that. But I think that it sort of leads back to what we were talking about before with how do you get these actors to work for scale and to be in a low budget movie. And one of those ways to do that is to give them material that, that allows them to shed whatever pigeonholed casting they've been sort of included in. So I think that's smart for people to sort of find those actors who want to do something different. They're at a point where they want to make the next step. And, I mean, Tarantino has been a legend at that, right? I mean, with the John Travoltas and the career resurrections of the world. So I don't know.
This is a different thing I've been thinking about. I saw that they're going to, I just got to get myself together with this one. I saw that they're going to redo Valley Girl. They're making a new version of it. And I know they did Footloose. And look, I love that they reintroduce these movies, especially ones that can have modified special effects and just regular effects. I get all of that. But here's the thing. If your trailer, if your poster makes me feel like I could probably do a better job with your movie, you don't create a lot of faith in me that I need to watch this movie. And it's not my movie. My movie happened 40 years ago, or however long it was, maybe 35 years ago. So, and I'm not saying Valley Girl was a great movie, but it had certain things with the timing, like New Wave was just becoming a thing. Valley Girls were a thing, now a Valley Girl, I asked them the other day on the show, like, what's a Valley Girl now? And they did not describe a Valley Girl as I know a Valley Girl, right? Mm-hmm. It's really a Valley Girl is a Kardashian because they're Valley Girls, but it's a totally new thing. So when I think about this, I want them to do Valley Girl. I want them to do a great job. But gosh, I really wish they would do a great job, and it doesn't seem like that's possible. The people are impossibly good looking and everything else. Nicolas Cage, there's nothing wrong with how he looks, but he wasn't super handsome when he was young. He was kind of quirky, and that's kind of how the New Wave kid was. He was kind of quirky. What are your thoughts?
I'm pretty anti-remake in general. I mean, I love the original Footloose. It's a great time capsule. I mean, I was too young to experience it when it came out. But I watched it, I've seen it many times because it's always on HBO when I was growing up. Right. But nowadays it's like, I don't really see the value of reintroducing that as a remake. I mean, the audience. I mean, I assume you want the nostalgia of the people who saw it the first time, but for the most part, those people are going to hate the remake because it's completely different. It doesn't have any 80s nostalgia. It doesn't have any of the Kenny Loggins. You know, Kevin Bacon isn't like jumping around and doing ridiculous things. And it's probably a lot more polished. And so I've had some debates with my friends about The Wonder Years, which is a show that's beloved to me that I guess is getting a slight remake by Lee Daniels. And, you know, that's a beloved show. It's like, what, you know, why remake it? Just you can do something that's like The Wonder Years, but call it something else. Do something new. There's only one film that I'm really passionate that should get remade, and I think it's Grease. Not a fan of the movie Grease at all. I think it's, as I have to give my wife credit, it's a 70s version of the 50s, and and I love John Travolta, but like they're not including a lot of the original music, and I think it's very poorly edited and shot, and has a lot of stupid gags.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
I think it needs to be remade with original music. Give Marty Maraschino what she has to do, and then it could be great. But otherwise, I just don't see the point in it. I understand why they do it. I know they could probably make a buck, but we need more original voices, original stories. We have enough sequels or remakes, but I'm preaching to the choir. We've been, things aren't changing anytime soon. So
yeah. But I mean, you're right about. I love Grease. First off, I love musicals, and I think it's great. But the movie is about the 50s, and it starts off with a disco song.
Yeah.
Like it's right, and then the storyline makes no damn sense. The editing is terrible. There is the scene where Rizzo comes walking out of the ladies' bathroom with an ice cream cone. It sounds impossible. Every time I say it, I'm like, you're making that up. And then you watch it and you're like, no shit, there she is walking out of the bathroom with an ice cream cone, licking it. And so it's like
and also, not to mention, they're so mean to some of the characters. Like, the Eugene is so mistreated, and it's just awful. And it's like it's a way to positively spin that. I don't know if you've watched Cobra Kai at all.
A little bit. I couldn't take it,
but I love it because it knows the Karate Kid universe. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It knocks these conventions on their head. So the dork is the hero, and the jock is the loser. And I love all that stuff because it's smart, and it's playing with our expectations. There's no need to retread this stuff. We lived it the first time, and nostalgia takes us. Nostalgia is personal. When you try to capitalize on it, it just seems like bleh, like gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't like it.
Yeah. So, one more thing about Grease, and then I'm really going to shut up about it.
And I love this movie. Then we're going back to Rambaldi.
Yeah, please. Let's do that. Let's for sure do that. Grease Lightning is 3 different cars in the movie. There's Gonna Be, Is, and then Supernatural. Who, like, what? 2 different cars? I mean, that's not cheap, those 2 cars. They had to get it. Maybe the actual Grease Lightning car was not super expensive, but the other one, you had to pay someone a lot of money. It's like, well, we already paid the money. Now we're going to completely. It's like if midstream you switch John Travolta. Grease Lightning is a character in this story, and it becomes. And the ending, you're like, what is going on? Why are they floating off into the sky?
I just don't get it. I don't get it. And they even let Jeff Conaway sing Grease Lightning too. I mean, I know Travolta's a big star, but I mean, that's his song, right? I mean, it's Kanicki's song. What are you going to do? But
yeah, it's all those crazy things. So Rambaldi, please.
Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, I think Grease is something that should be remade, and yeah, I mean, I love musicals as well. I mean, I feel like Guys and Dolls is another one I'd love to see remade. Sure. I mean, that's something that I don't know why some people are into musicals and others aren't, but I absolutely love them and want to see more of them because that's the joy of movies for me as a viewer. That's something I don't think I could ever do, but I love being immersed in that.
I could withstand a solid musical every other year, and I'd be like, okay, that's a pace I can maintain. I can get behind that, and
Right.
I want to see. Frank Sinatra wasn't an actor, but he got out there, and then he became a singer, an actor, and a dancer. I would like to see these talented people really push themselves in roles. Chicago was great; it won all kinds of Oscars. Let's get more of those kind of things. It's really neat to see actors really push themselves in those. I mean, yes, you did a dark role. How daring! Everybody does that shit, But like, get up there and sing and dance. Oh my gosh, now that's something. It's really neat. I wanted to ask you about writing. You wrote a story with Zac Efron in mind. Is there always someone cast in your mind? And then how do you go through that process?
The things that I write are pretty like radically subjective for the most part. We don't often encounter information as an audience unless it's through the viewer, unless it's through the lead character. So basically our lead is in every scene. So I'm always pretty much focused on the center of the universe. And in no place, Ben Madrid is that person. Mac is that character. So I don't always focus on one actor in particular, but there's a type. And when I'm writing something, I envision that type moving through the movie. And it's like the sun and all the other characters, the planets that orbit that person. But that's because that's just the way I write, where there is sort of that radical subjectivity. While I'm certainly not a Paul Haggis type, like a Crash type movie where you have intersecting storylines and stuff. So like I'm writing something now and I have an actor in mind, and my hope is that we can get that actor. And if we can't, then we'll have to call an audible and see what, but like right now, like in terms of the script, it's all in for that actor. So, I mean, it's hard to say. Because at the same time, it's sort of like, how does it jump from the script to the screen? And you have to identify certain character traits to your casting directors who they, if you're not finding that star, you have to find someone who inhabits or who has all these attributes that will propel your story forward. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a mysterious, brew. I don't know how, but for the most part, I just, I think probably it starts with me in the middle. I'm the character, right?
Sure.
And then it comes out of me and it becomes someone else. Okay. And then the more three-dimensional that person gets on the page, the better the script is. And sometimes that just takes time and drafts and drafts and more drafts. And then, I mean, I know in no place we were able to fill in so much color in the production process, even after the script. So it is a strange alchemy how that works.
Yeah. When you are thinking of an actor that you want to pitch, you're like, this is perfect for you. I thought about you. How much weight does that carry? And I'm assuming that, look, everybody's got an IMDb page. So it's not like, well, I'm known because I've got an IMDb page. You walk into a known actor, there's a difference in notoriety between an indie director and a Zac Efron for sure, But that relationship, is there a weight in that where you're like, I thought about you, I've written movies, here's what I've done, you can look at my stuff, I would love you for this. Does that carry much weight? Are they honored by that? Are they flattered by it? Does that propel them? Or do you still have to do more than that to convince someone that, like, this is a good idea? And you know how it is in the business too. Timing is everything. They may be desperate to do it, but they can't do it for 4 more years. And at that point, the project isn't viable for you, because your timing is different.
So true. So true. Yeah, I think you really have to believe, you have to project, that this is a part that actor needs to, well, first read. You need to get it to their people to read. And then once they read it, that they have to, you're basically throwing all your chips in the middle. Like, either you're going to like this or not. Either it's going to connect, you're going to connect with it, and we're going to talk some more and get this thing together, or not. I'm kind of a glass half empty guy. So I always, I probably should have, I'm confident, but I probably should have more, confidence in that things are going to work out. But I always have contingencies. I always, I pivot to other alternatives. So, I don't know if that passion for a specific actor is going to make that person more passionate about the project or reading it. I sure as hell hope so. But if not, then it wasn't meant to be, and we're going to try to make it work with someone else.
I want to help you with your glass half empty concept, especially when it comes to these actors. I think I have a solution for you. It's okay to have that natural response because that's how you're wired, but I want you to think shot glass instead and be like, fill that fucker up. Sometimes you drink it, it's like, then you fill it back up again because a shot glass is easy to fill. It's so fast.
True. I like that.
So just think of actors like shot glasses. Like, I'm going to take this shot and it's no big deal because there's another one. And I'm not trying to minimize actors' roles, but there is someone else that can do that. Someone who's desperate for that role, who all you'd have to do is find them in the magical universe. Maybe you could, but shot glass, not hefty.
I like it. I like it. And I tell you about actors, coming out of, before I went to film school, I wouldn't say that I was scared of actors, but I was sort of, I don't think we spoke the same language. I mean, I was a filmmaker and they were sort of pawns in whatever I was trying to create. They were able bodies. But, actors do extraordinary things. And I don't think I really understood this totally until I started working with great actors. Many of the Chicago theater actors that I was working with, many from the DePaul Film School program or from the theater school. And just, being on set, watching these actors work, what they're able to do is incredible. And as a director, you need to allow them that space to do that because sometimes it's so raw, what you're asking them to do. And like, now it's just appreciation. And I understand that if you believe you can do this project and you love it and you have to do it, I want you to do it because then it'll be great. I'm not at that stage, but I don't want some actor doing my project for the money, because it's a paycheck. Because I don't think that person's is gonna put their heart and soul into this movie in the same way. I'd rather have an upstart who was maybe a great theater actor who wants to break into movies, who really wants to do incredible work. So, and again, it's all luck. Like, when are you catching these people? Like, at what point in their career? It's just and making films, it's a mixture of skill and luck. And, the film gods are hopefully shining down on you and helping you succeed and not thwarting you at every turn. Because I've seen it both ways. So
it's Hollywood's weird town. You can come there with goals and aspirations to be something, and because your dream is to be in the movies, but you really have to take in the movies for what it's worth. I mean, Paul Williams is the classic example. He's this tiny little dude that wants to come be an actor, and sure, he's in a very famous movie, but what he could do, and he really had no idea, was he could write the bejesus out of a song and win Oscars doing it. I mean, it's crazy. Is that still a possibility for you where you find out that it's not writing for you? It really is directing, or you are a master producer who wins awards every time you put something together. Is there still that? Or do you think what you are is this multi-slashed person? Because a lot of times in Hollywood, those slashes fall away. Just rapper actor becomes actor,
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I like producing. I really loved producing No Place. I really love directing, and I love writing. And I don't necessarily want to do all three. And I edited No Place. That's something I never wanted to do. Oh my God. So I'm the slowest editor ever. And I tried to have people do it, and I tried to pay it, and no one wanted to do it. So I'm like, I'll do it. Fine. Somebody has to do it. And
someone's got it. That's a producer right there. Yeah.
Yeah,
God
exactly.
Damn it, I'll do it. Yeah.
I certainly saved some money on, as myself as the editor, but
did you?
That's the question. Like, time is money, right? I spent a lot of time, could have been doing other things.
Right.
But I like doing all three. So right now, I think I'll always write, and I love, even if sometimes I'll write stuff and I know I don't want to direct it, but I'll try to sell it or I'll try to get it out there. Or I'll write stuff that I can direct. And right now I'm producing a film it's a story that I created, but I'm kind of letting this director run with the script, and he's going to direct it. And I want him to make this film. Like, this is a film that he needs to make. It's not my film, but I want to shepherd it and I want to produce it. So, I like all three, and it's one of those things about No Place. I didn't know that I would like producing as much as I did, because I am a taskmaster and I am driven and I am hard on people, but I think I can also be a benevolent leader as well. Like, I feel like I can walk that line. And with No Place, everybody was so gracious and kind that we were very lucky to have that vibe. But it doesn't always happen that way. So I don't know. I hope to be more involved in more of the blessed projects than the ones that are cursed. But they all have their stories. So.
You got to have the cursed ones. And I think I would suggest that don't all benevolent dictators or leaders, as you put it, don't they all think that they walk that line?
Probably. They probably do.
And I appreciate you answering these questions, because these aren't softballs. These are really hard. Like, you think about how you approach these things. You do. I mean, obviously, look, everybody tries to be kind. I mean, for the most part, and obviously you're a kind guy, but sometimes shit's just got to get done. I'll edit this damn thing myself, and I don't have time to be nice to all of you. Some of you have to get up, you have to motivate people. And sometimes that motivation comes in the form of a shove or a yank or whatever. I'll rub your back later, but for right now, we're literally burning daylight right now. We have to get this done. Everybody get in your damn places and let's get to work. We'll say sorry later on, I mean, some of that has to happen. You have to be the dynamo.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you just have to read the room properly. I mean, on No Place, we had a lot of production assistants who were working for free, and they could leave. And I mean, what am I, I'm not going to yell at them, but if there's a production assistant who's making, a couple $100 to watch a door, and that person's not watching the door, then they're not doing their job. Again, it goes back to people on an indie film set wanting to be there for the love of the project and for the love of filmmaking. And I think Ben addressed it in his interview with you, is that a lot of the people who worked on our film don't work on films typically. They work on commercials. So they wanted to be a part of a film. When I heard Tom Cruise freak out on that set of Mission Impossible about the people not wearing masks, I understood that too, man. I mean, he's got he had every right to yell at those people, and I applaud him for it. And so it's like, sometimes you have to, be a hard ass. You have to produce, but you literally have to produce. You have to produce the film, or else it's not going to be made. So I don't know. Hopefully we get the people who are there for the love and are also incredibly professional and who get paid like they should. And that's kind of the dream project.
And to Tom's benefit, he knows, like, he is the reason why these people are getting paid. And if you're not going to wear a damn mask, he's like, I'll break my leg and continue to act. I will learn how to fly a helicopter or swing a sword so that we all can have jobs. Don't you dare do something like there's nobody in the history of anything has ever been more all in on whatever he is doing.
Right.
And so you can't be halfway in with him. It's just not going to happen. And he gets to be pissed, because it's not just his money and, his brand, but it's all these other people. He clearly cares about that community that he works with,
Yeah.
It's a powerful thing.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the directing part of things, but we're running short on time. Do you got time for one more good question? Okay.
Absolutely.
So when you're trying to decide which project is next, because you've got 15 in your head, how do you sort that out? How do you decide, this is it? I mean, it's always going to be a balance, right? Like, I can get this done, but it's not the one I want. And then can you work that hard on something that your heart hasn't pushed you towards or isn't fully in on it? How do you work that?
I always have to be very passionate about the project. I mean, if I'm not, then it's just not going to be fulfilling to me. But sometimes you have to have your eyes on the prize, that perhaps you can do something to then make your next one. I don't know. I mean, I think in terms of, I know where I'm at. I have 2 small kids. I have a wife. I have a job that, aside from my filmmaking, so I have a life that I have to do, it's like, how do you balance all these things? It's got to be the love, you can't waste your time with projects that you don't like. And it's maybe there's some projects that I can get on as a producer, or maybe I can help shepherd that project along, or add whatever I can, demonstrate whatever value I can add to it. But if I'm going to write something, I'm going to write it, and then maybe it'll be sold and I'll never see it again. I'll just let it go. But if I'm going to direct something, this is something I'm going to live with. I'm going to wake up with it in the morning. I'm going to think about it when I'm supposed to be, thinking about other things. Like it stays with you. When I'm in the shower, when I'm driving, I'll hit, I'm jotting down notes. It's like, I'm going to be living with this for a long time. So, I mean, No Place, we finished shooting it in, March and then September of 2019. So, and I've been living with that a long time. And now it's like, it feels like I can move on. Right. So you have to be totally invested. And if you're not, then you're not going to give it your best shot. And again, making films, you're fighting all these elements, but the biggest thing is you're fighting time. Like time doesn't stop for anyone. And that's a metaphor for life as well. Like you have to do what you love, or else you're wasting time, or you're just filling your time with stuff that's going to make you unhappy. So I just try to keep the projects that I can feel passionate about, especially if I'm directing it. I mean, that's your vision. I mean, you have to inspire people. And if you're not inspired, then you're not going to inspire anyone. So
I love that you said that. The time doesn't wait for anybody. That movie that John Singleton was going to make with Luke Perry, that ain't happening. You know?
I know.
I mean, they weren't never going to make a movie probably, but the thing is that if they were, it's too late. These are young people that had movies to make. So whatever it is that you all do out there, do it. If it's travel, do it. Do it within the limits of what you can do with COVID. Okay, great. Go do it. Travel hyper local. Travel. I mean, if you're in California, you can't see all of California, So definitely go out there and try to do that. I love the way you're approaching this. I love how you make your movies. I love No Place. I think it's such a cool movie. Here's my movie pitch to you. You ready? Remake. Someone needs to redo Falling Down, but in a modern setting. Because there's some pissed off people out there, and that dude exists.
Yeah, that there might be armies of that dude right now. Yes, that's interesting. That's a great idea, because Falling Down is also a very early '90s specific movie.
Yes,
I'm not a R.I.P. I'm not a Joel Schumacher fan, but I think he killed it in that movie, and I really, that's interesting.
That's a killable movie right now. It doesn't have to be a defense contractor. It can literally be anybody, I mean, there's so many, and it can be someone from either side of the political spectrum. It could be two of them.
Totally.
That would just be crazy. Anyhow, that's my pitch. So let's talk about that later. Anything else in closing for you?
No, not at all. Please see No Place. It's streaming, and I hope you like it, and hope we get to make more movies.
I'm going to do better than that. Go see No Place. Check it out. It's on Amazon. There's the link. It's $6. Come on. $6. Look at what a great guy Peter is. Look at how much he and, Ben are it was hilarious having him open the show and hang out with us for a few minutes. I mean, support these $6. Take a date night, watch a movie, have some popcorn, or don't, but watch the movie and spend $6. Come on, you guys.